Hey everybody, welcome. With InventoryLab, we'll be talking about the API changes from Amazon that's going to affect a few things in InventoryLab. Just giving it a few minutes here to see if anybody else trickles in. But if you have questions or comments, put those into the comments field if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll see those. We'll either answer them in the chat or I'll answer them live. So with that, let me just go ahead and share my screen here. Before I get into that, though, let me just go over the changes real quick. So Amazon is changing the API we use to transfer the information from your account into the InventoryLab account. And so due to these changes, and this happens officially at the end of December this year, we have to make the following changes in Stratify. For one, live workflow is being removed. And the reason for that is Amazon's not going to allow additions to working shipments. I mean, other than adjusting quantities of items already in the shipment, but you can no longer add to shipment. And as part of that, the add to existing shipments also being removed. So they're not going to allow items to be added to existing shipments. That's all part of the same reason live is going away. And the last thing is the 200 unique MSKUs per shipment is going to be changed by Amazon. The limit's always been there, but through the API using an update shipment feed, we were able to add to existing shipments in the background and combine them. And this is all related to the live and also to the add to existing, since that's going away, we're no longer going to be able to do that. So what does that mean for you? You can add up to 200 unique MSKUs, but after that, Amazon is going to split that up. And so what I mean by splitting is they will split it up into different fulfillment centers. Now this could be an even split, but most likely it's going to be something uneven. So for example, you put in 400 different MSKUs of various quantities into your batch, and when you go to make the shipments, Amazon may split them up, like 150 going one place, 50 going another, 200 going somewhere else, and so on. So that could result in more than your normal amount of shipments. Now with live, going back to live, over the years we've been doing this, based on our customers' feedback, we found that the private batch gives you less splits than live. And the reason for that is that live, as you're adding to a live batch, that's basically updating a shipment on the fly, or maybe it's creating a shipment because that Amazon decides where those items go. So is there much you can do to change that? There isn't anything on our end. It has to go away. You can use what we call scan to pack to maybe streamline your workflow a little bit. And then as far as add to existing shipments, like I said, no more combining shipments. And the only way to combine now would be through shipping LTL or less than a truckload pallet shipments in the send to Amazon workflow. You can merge those in there. You can't merge individual shipments, however. And then now why, this question may come up and it may already be in the comments, but why are we doing this? And we're going to be doing this as of November 7th. So you've got about 2 weeks left of the live add to existing shipment, and you might see your shipments change as far as the 200 MSKUs. So why are we doing it early if they aren't taking it away until December 31st? Well, this is because of the work that goes into it. We need to roll it out in segments to our users over the next few weeks. And then we also have to have time to make sure it's stable enough, and that if there's anything wrong, such as a bug, that we have time to fix it or roll things back for a bit before the deadline hits. So we have to give ourselves enough time to actually fix things that may be broken. And so that's why this is happening on November 7th. That'll give us time in case there are issues. We're not expecting any, but it is software. Things happen. And so this new seller API that we're switching to and that Amazon's requiring third-party providers to switch to. It is new. All the issues may or may not have been worked out of it, but we're going to find out. But we're going to make it as seamless as we possibly can for you. So let me get in and share my screen. Oh, let's see. So I mentioned the scan to pack. Now this is private, of course. One of the things you can do is using the scan to pack feature. And this allows you to grab an item, scan the barcode or the FNSKU label, whichever you have on there, and it will help you with box contents. That may ease some of the workflow pains, but to make sure to do that, you have to have that turned on your print settings, have during scan to pack. This will print a label when you scan an item into a box during the box content process. So it'll print the label then. If you like that method, you can turn that off and still use scan to pack, but this will print a label during scan to pack. You can also still have it after adding an item to a batch and turn off scan to pack. Those are the two options there. So what does that look like? Let me just review this batch and submit it. You're probably going to see an error on this one because this is a test account, but so we'll create this. And now go to box contents. And then I'm going to copy the UPC code. Now this is where I have not labeled. I've just got the UPC code. So I'm going to scan the same UPC that it was on the item when I added it to the batch. And all I do is click on the little I here, do start. And I get the little beep and it puts one in the box. Now, once I do that, if I have these 10 items and they all fit, I can just edit the quantity. And once I've edited the quantity, it'll assign them all. So that's it. It's a very simple process. Now, if you don't have labels, FNSKU labels on there, you just scan UPC. It'll print a label out, label it, put it in the box, that sort of thing. If you do have FNSKUs, you can still do the same process. It's just your labels are already on the item, and it'll read the FNSKU label. So with that, I mean, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat, and we will answer those for you. Again, the 200 MSKU issue is something that's always been there, but in the background, we've been able to combine those to make it kind of seamless for you. It's Rebecca. So this will only affect the shipment once we create a shipping plan, correct? Not before we have synced it. So the sync process, when you're adding items to a shipping plan, that's where you get to the FBA shipments, proposed FBA shipments page. That's the shipping plan. So the process with live and is before that happens. Obviously, that when you're listing live, you're creating the shipping plan and adding it to a shipment all in one. That's going away. So now you have to create your batch. And let me just close this real quick and I'll reopen, show you what I mean. So when you've got your batch created, if I was listing live right now, as I'm scanning an item and adding it to a live batch, it's going to add it into any of these shipments or create a new shipment. With private, you have to add everything into the batch beforehand. Once you do, you review the batch, you submit it. And at this point, the sync, that's sending the feeds to Amazon. And then you're going to get the shipping plan from Amazon, which is right here. So this is the shipping plan. And this will be going away. I won't have that option any longer. So I'm just going to have to create all of the shipments that are in this plan and send those items in. So that's what we mean by live is going away and add to existing shipments is going away. And I see another question about, is this only for FBA? And yes, It only affects FBA because merchant fulfilled, you do all of the fulfillment, so you don't have to worry about that. And let's see, got any more? Yeah, I see we have a few other questions here. To repeat for everyone, on November 7th, the live workflow and the add to working shipment are both going away. We'll no longer be able to provide that. That's because at the end of the year, Amazon is removing that capability. However, we need time to make sure everything is working right. We'll be releasing this into segments to our customers. And so there'll be a slow rollout, make sure everything is working. And if we run into any issues, that'll give us time to pull it back and then fix those issues well before the deadline by Amazon. So you'll have to switch to the private workflow. That's really the only change. Private workflow and add to working shipment are going away. The other thing that may cause an issue is the 200 unique MSKUs per shipment. So what that means is I have this MSKU in the shipment. And I've only got 10, but if I had 200 or more, so let's go back. Just can't do that. So I could decline this. So if I had, see if I can do it within the limits that are set. We'll see. So I've got 400 I want to send in. Now there is this limit. As soon as Amazon forces this to happen, then I would only be able to send 200 MSKUs per shipment. So 200 of these would be in one shipment. This would split. Amazon may split it into a shipment of 150, a shipment of 50, or a shipment of 200 to equal to 400. It may not be an even split. So you would see multiple shipments instead of just one like you can now, since we can still update shipments and do that in the background. So what that means is you'll probably have more shipments than you're used to if you're shipping in a large quantity of an MSKU. Now I could have 1,000 units in this. It could be several different MSKUs, which is fine. But once the MSKU gets over 200, a particular MSKU gets over 200, then that will be split up into different shipments. So you have to keep that in mind. And that's what's happening November 7th. Now, you may or may not have seen our previous webinar about the changes with Send Amazon and being able to use the old workflow. That is not changing. I see a question there from Jose. So will the old workflow option go away as well starting November 7th? No, not as far as we know. You can still use the old workflow. It's just, let me show you what that means. Create. Yeah, I'm over capacity there. So let's just go to this one. So when you go to Seller Central, after clicking on, you can see how it switched there for me. After I clicked on this shipment to go to Seller Central, you'll get this for each shipment in a shipping plan. If you go to return to old workflow, you'll still be able to do that. And that will allow you to edit your box contents, make any changes you need, and that sort of thing, and resend the box contents. If you go choose send to Amazon, what you've already done is done. You can't edit after that point. So this option is going to remain after November 7th. That's not changing. We don't know the end date for sure on that yet, but we'll make sure to communicate that as well once we do know. And are the 200 MSKUs going to be split into multiple fulfillment centers if you go above the 200 MSKUs? Correct. You can have 1,000 items in a shipment, but if you have over 200 of a particular MSKU, those are going to be split out because you can't send in more than 200 of the same MSKU in a shipment. New workflow asking how box can provided manual or yeah, that's the thing with if you chose the send to Amazon here, um, and it didn't go over, you're going to have to add that manually if you can. I don't think you can edit it from that point. So you would have to delete the shipment and start over and make sure to choose the old workflow. If you send it through the old workflow, you would be able to resend it, make sure Amazon got it. And you're going to see that probably crop up more in Q4 than any other time of the year. There's just so many feeds going to Amazon. Um, when we sync, will it tell us how many go to what where? Yeah, that process is still the same. You're going to get this um, same screen and everything. It'll tell you which shipments to create. You just have to make sure to create them before this timer here uh, ends, or Amazon can reconfigure your shipments. Lori, yes, this is only for the live workflow. If you always use private, that's not changing. It's going to stay the same. And Chris, can we still decline shipping plans they give us? Sure. You can go right here to the decline shipments and go back. If you see this, you don't like the setup, you want to reconfigure that, you can click there, go right back, and it'll take you back to this page where you can review and then submit. And once you click the sync, it's going to generate a new shipping plan. Your old one will have been deleted and it'll generate a new shipping plan here. So that will still work. You can still do that. So if I've always used private and then created new shipments every time, is there any change? No, nothing changes there, Jose. The only thing that was what you're referring to there, I believe, is when you use our box content method, make sure you get that success message before you even go to Seller Central. But once you click on the shipment here to go to Seller Central to work on that shipment, you're going to be greeted with this screen. Always choose the old workflow, at least for now. We don't know when this is going to end, and everybody's going to be shipped over to send to Amazon, but currently you can still use the old workflow. So that's what you want to do is select that for each of the shipments. It's every time you create a shipment, you're going to see this screen until they force everybody to the new send to Amazon. And so you'll be able to assign box contents to us. And you can still assign box contents with send to Amazon. The issue is if you're here and say, I didn't put an expiration date, if I, create this, don't edit this and add the expiration date in before I send box contents, and I send it without that, and then I use send to Amazon, I can't edit anything in there. So for example, I'm going to use send to Amazon, and it will put everything into send to Amazon. And here it's allowing me to add it. It didn't allow me that before. Let's just see if it works. So they may have updated this. Okay, so it does let you, if you don't have it added, it'll let you correct that. So they must have updated that to allow it because previously they wouldn't, once you sent box contents um, with the shipment, it wouldn't allow you to do that. So let me try it unless that was an old one. So let me create a new one here just to test this, just to make sure. Okay, so I have to edit that. That's right. They don't often give us, or hardly ever give us the changes they make. So let's just hit this. We'll try it live. What could go wrong, right? Okay, let me go back and get even less in there. That's that sort limit. If I had that turned on, I'd be able to see that. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's just turn it on. I'll show you. I'm on list. I don't have these set. Obviously, I have them set to unlimited. So okay. There. Okay, review, submit. Should be able to create this now. So we're going to get this because it's a test account, like I said. So here we are in box contents. I'm just going to assign everything to the one box. Transmit boxes. Say it's 10 and then 10, make it easy. Okay, so now I'm going to wait for that green success and I will go back to the questions here real quick. Michelle, so it's a limit of 200 items per MSKU, not 200 MSKU. Right. Yeah, if you go over 200 of that particular MSKU, that's when they'll split it up. But you can have more than 200 MSKUs in a shipment. It's just 200 of a particular MSKU that they will limit. And what about shipments with all different FNSKUs all mixed up in multiple boxes? That should be fine. Again, it's just that 200 of a certain MSKU. If you go over that, then they can do those odd splits. And hopefully this is being recorded. Yes, Lori, it will be recorded, and then we will also put it into our, yeah, I know that I didn't put an expiration date on purpose. So we will also put it into our help center, and it'll be here in the webinar, customer coaching. Here's that Send to Amazon webinar you can watch. I'll be adding that as soon as I can download it from tonight. Probably tomorrow, this will be added onto the webinars page. So if you missed something, you can watch it there. Define the term live. Okay, so live is when you create a batch, and as you add an item to the batch, Amazon will either add it to a shipment here, or they'll create a new one. So it's adding it to the shipping plan and then putting it right into a shipment. That's what I mean by live. So with the box content, since I didn't have the expiration date, it's giving me that error. So it's probably not going through anyway. So let's just check this. So that's what I mean by live. And you're like, well, box content issues be repaired. I don't want to use the Excel SS upload if I can avoid it. That's a good question. It's something on Amazon's end. We are still working with their developers to get that sorted out. But currently, that's why we suggest if you want to use our box contents, use the old workflow instead of send to Amazon, because you can't edit once you've sent it if you're going to use the um, send to Amazon. And I'll show you what I mean as soon as I get the green message there. The 200 units per MSKU makes absolutely no sense for sellers. Big sellers are, yeah, you can send in more than 200 units. It's just that if it's of a particular MSKU, if I have MSKU A and I send in 200 of those, and then I have MSKU B and I send in 200 of those, that's 400 total units. That could be in a shipment. That's fine. It's just if I go over the 200 per those MSKU or of those particular MSKUs, then Amazon will split them out. And that's an Amazon requirement. We've been able to combine using the update shipment feed through the API in the past. With the new seller API, they're no longer allowing that. So that's why these changes are happening, because we can't update shipments and combine them in the background. And it was a seamless process, and you never even noticed it. It just happened. Okay, so TTPO. So this one is done. Let's go to shipment. It's going to switch and ask me which one. I'm going to go send to Amazon. So I sent the box contents. I added the expiration date. Since I've corrected it and then sent it, and then I picked which one I was going to go to, everything comes through fine. So the key thing is to make sure you wait until you get this and everything looks good, and you don't have to make any edits at all to the quantity. You've got your expiration dates. During the box contents feed processing, that's when Amazon will tell you if you're missing expiration dates or something is required. You need to do that before you choose your workflow. If you do choose send Amazon and you don't have to make any changes, it takes you right there and you're good to go. Box 1, 10 units. I can confirm and continue. I just pick a shipping date and then select the carrier, and that's that. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. So that's the issue, just making sure you stay in Stratify, which is our desktop app. Make sure that each shipment you send, get that success message. And that means Amazon has gotten the information. And so it'll go right through. Will there be a way to set a default to the old workflow? Not at this time. You do have to click it on each shipment you go to work on, unfortunately. Yeah, right, Michelle. You can't flood one warehouse with them. They'll split them up. In the past, you were able to adjust that, and probably, that's why Amazon's not allowing it anymore. Maybe this happened more than they liked, and so they want to cut that out. My understanding is that if we were creating individual batches for each individual MSKU, we were adding in each MSKU to a working shipment. Right, you can't combine any longer. They'll just create the shipments. That's what Amazon wants, and we won't be able to add to a working shipment. But that, if you can still create the batches with individual MSKUs, but there's really no advantage in it since you can't combine. So you might as well just, if you're going to have shipments, just create one batch, and Amazon will tell you, where they want those to go. Yes, Chris, you can still include IL box contents with each box. It will go through on the send to Amazon as long as Amazon received them. Now, they say they received it. There are times when they don't. That can cause an issue, and you won't be able to update. But I mean, while I'm doing it here, they did receive it, and everything went through fine. You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate the good words there. This is just something we have to work within Amazon's restrictions now with the new seller API. So we don't like it any more than you do, but again, we're still working with Amazon to hopefully get this resolved so that it makes it workable as possible for you, so you don't have to change your workflows too much. And let's see. So what value is InventoryLab after these changes? Okay, yep. So granted, you're losing some of your capability with the live. You'll probably get less shipments with private. You'll still be able to enter box contents, send it to, you just have to switch, keep the current or the old workflow. Once Amazon switches everybody to the send to Amazon workflow, which they intend to do, we just don't know what date, you're still going to be able to send your box contents. It's just you just can't make any changes at this time. We're still working with them on seeing if that can be fixed. The advantage, as it always has been with InventoryLab, is that you're also keeping track of your buy cost information. You're still keeping track adding each time you create a batch, you add the buy cost, supplier, purchase date, all that stuff gets fed into the inventory pages. That in turn gets fed into your FBA sales. I can look at these sales. Of course, I can't on this test account, but I can look at these sales and see at a glance if I made any money. If I'm not making money, I can check it out and say, why didn't I make money on that? Easily click there, see what the costs are involved. I can keep track of my refunds, reimbursements, all that stuff is kept track of for you. And as well as the profitability report, you're still going to get that full capability. That none of this has changed. It's just a slight change to the workflow is why. Um, so that's always been the advantage with InventoryLab is being able to keep track of your accounting as well as accounting on other expenses. And that's any expense you can think of for your business. And all of those get filtered through to your profit and loss report. So that's always been the big advantage. An added bonus, I think, in my eyes, was that we streamlined the workflow. But most of that you're still going to be able to do. It's just this end part with the live workflows going away. And so now it's got to be private. But thank you, Take Talent. We appreciate that as well. Always nice to hear that. We do what we can, and we do take your suggestions, and those always get forwarded. And we try to create this application that does the best for you, and hopefully we hit the mark. I know we don't always hit the mark, and when we don't, we try to correct that. So we are listening. We're, this is something we didn't expect to happen. It's happening, so we're doing what we can to ease the pain on your end. So I think I may have answered this, but just in case I didn't, what about shipments with all different FN SKUs, all mixed in multiple boxes? That's fine. Again, it's just 200 of one particular MSKU. If you have more than 200 of an MSKU, that can get split up, and that would cause more shipments because we can't combine. And yes, limit of 200 per MSKU, not 200 MSKUs. Nothing changes on private. If you've been doing private, then that will continue. I came across this yesterday. The old workflow isn't available for me on Amazon, only new workflow. So they didn't carry over. Well, as you can see in this last one that I did, they did carry over. It's possible Amazon didn't receive them for whatever reason. I mean, it's the feeds sometimes don't come across. What you can do in that case is you can delete these shipments, restore the batch, and then resend that. So you'd delete all the shipments from that particular batch and redo it. That's not the ideal situation because if you had box contents on and you selected the new send to Amazon, let me just see what happens here. Okay, just going to do that. I think I know the answer. I just want to test it while we're live here. So I'm going to create this. So I've got box contents on. And so now I can go to this shipment. I'm going to go to Seller Central and I'm going to select the new workflow. And so this would be the same as Amazon not receiving your box contents feeds for whatever reason, even though we encourage you to wait for the green, even if you did and it didn't happen. I can't do anything with the boxes. I can put in the expiration date, do that. Ready to send. So here, I'm going to pack the items. And so basically you would enter it there and you can fit everything into one box or multiple boxes. So it looks like you can do the box contents using their information. delete that. Granted, if you've got a large shipment and you've just done all that box contents setup, it's not fun to redo, I know. So in the new workflow, you'd have to enter those. You can do a Excel file, and I go over that in the Send to Amazon webinar. I go into detail on sending that either by Excel or filling out the web form. So check that out to show you how to do that. I think between the answers and the comments, oh, we have new comments. Let's see here. So can you run through a private workflow for those of us who haven't used it for 6+? Yeah, yeah, you bet. Okay, so just close this. So I'm just going to reopen a batch that we've had maybe with different items. I'll do this one. Okay, so you're listing in a private batch. The process for listing doesn't change. You would still scan um, the UPC or put in what it is here, the title, and then check if you use unlisted, make sure you use the Amazon Plus unlisted so we can catch those items you may have forgotten about. But if you're just not using unlisted, then change that to Amazon catalog. But then as you list items, it's the same process in live and private. When you list an item and you have it on this page, you're entering the same information. None of this part changes at all. It's just when you add it to the batch, whereas in live, you're either asked which shipment you want it to go into, to combine it to from over here, or it's telling you it's going to create a new shipment. Instead, you list everything you're going to send into the batch. And once you've entered everything, then you review the batch, make sure that information is correct. If it's something you need to adjust, you can do it here. This is the best spot to find any errors and adjust. For quantity or your buy cost information, you just click on those. I can click on quantity and change that. Or if I want to click on the cost, I can also change it. Opens the same modal. But if everything looks good, you submit it. And then make sure this is always going to be checked by default. So you're going to do your box contents through us. You just sync. And then it's going to give you the shipments here that this is your shipping plan. And you have 48 hours to create the shipments on this plan. So this is different than live because you've already created shipments from those items being put into the batch. Here, you have to create these within 48 hours or Amazon can reconfigure this and give you different shipments, different quantities in each shipment, that sort of thing. And since Amazon's terms of service require you to create all of your shipments from a shipping plan, you can no longer delete particular shipments. They changed that years ago. You do have to create those, even if the quantity isn't what you'd want. So you have to create. It's going to confirm you want to create. Now, once you've created the shipment, and okay, so that's not going to let me, but once you've created a shipment, see if I can go to one here. Once you've created a shipment, you'll click on enter box content. So let me just do this one. This will hopefully let us add. We won't be over capacity. Okay, so I've created that shipment. My next step is to click on this enter box contents button. Once I do that, the shipment displays here from that shipping plan, and it displays below the items in that shipment. And then unlike live where you will assign the box contents on that list page, you're here assigning your box contents, but it's the same process. First box is created for you, so you can put them all in there. If you need to assign a new box, you just click here, create a box, and then you can add that becomes the default box, as you can see here, but I could still switch to box 1 if I wanted to put a few more of those in there. And then I can assign them. Another trick that a lot of people don't know about is if you have, say you have boxes that are the same, you have several of those that are the same. So I've got this second box, so I'm going to assign two of these. That's all will fit in that box. But I've got 8 more, so I need 4 more boxes. All I have to do is click on the tool icon, copy box. It's going to tell me how many more boxes I need based on copying. I can click OK, and it creates 4 more boxes of the exact same in-box contents. So, and then after that, you want to transmit boxes up here. If you have multiple shipments, I suggest doing transmit boxes here, because if you use the transmit all boxes, it will send box contents for all of these shipments. But then if there's an error in any one of those shipments, none of the box contents is going to go through. If you do it individually and there's no errors in, say, 2 shipments, but that third one has an error, it's only going to kick back an error on the third, and that's the only one you have to resend box contents for. So after you transmit boxes here, if you get an error, you can fix it, and then go right here to box content information, and then you can transmit updated boxes. So let's say I send that. This works the same in Seller Central. If I just fill it in at the top, it's going to copy it all down in each of these. So then you can just modify each one if you need to. Hide this. Okay, so now it's sent. And so if I get an error back on that shipment, all I have to do is correct it, say it was an expiration date. I can just go to box content information. I would correct it by this will say an NA if you forgot to add it. Just click there, add it in, and then transmit updated boxes here. That'll resend the feeds and correct that error. Okay. Just looking through this isn't related to this webinar, but Brian, we do have that on a suggestion to show those updated estimates. I'm not sure when that will happen, but that definitely is on the list, as well as through the list process, being able to split out those small and light, so you know. Can we merge batches before submitting shipments? You can't merge them, but that is also a suggestion, being able to go to a batch and merge it into another one, just to add those items in. But that's definitely a suggestion that gets a lot of votes. So that's something hopefully we can add in the future. Currently, you would have to just add them manually and then close the batch. So if I'm taking items from this batch and I'm going to put them into this batch, I'd have to do it manually. And then I would just want to close that batch manually that I'm not using. As long as I haven't sent the feeds for that batch, I don't have to worry about fixing my replenishment pages for those items in there, because it won't create it if I don't send the box content or the batch feeds. And yeah, that's a great answer from Andrea there in the chat about small and light fees, Scoutify. If it's available, we're going to be able to add it. It's, maybe in the seller API we're getting switched to, we may be able to get that. But we'll have to see if we can break those out. Any other questions related to these changes and what it means for you? Feel free to put those in the comments. We'll get to those. Again, there's 3 things changing that you're going to see: live workflow going away, add to existing shipments is going away, and this will be on November 7th. So a couple of weeks, we'll send out reminders to make sure you're aware that it's happening. And then, of course, that 200 unique MSKUs, normally you wouldn't see anything about it unless you're making a big shipment. But then in the background, we were able to update those shipments so you never saw it. Now you'll probably notice more shipments, but that's only, again, if you're adding more than 200 of one MSKU. You can have more than 200 MSKUs in a shipment, but more than one MSKU, individual MSKU, that will cause some splits. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Again, we'll have this posted on the webinar page. Just go to the Help Center there and then go to Webinar and Customer Coaching Resources. Click on, it'll be listed here at the top. And if you ever want to attend one of our customer coaching classes, that's here on the same page. Just click on a topic that interests you, and it's in a group setting live, so you can ask questions of the coach, and they'll be able to demonstrate what you need to know. So these are pretty helpful. We only have 5 right now, but we're going to be adding more in different topics. So make sure you check those out. Great question. Are they aware of the aggravation this is causing? That I don't know, but we're encouraging people to reach out to the seller API. And so let me see if I can pull that up for you, where to go. Let's see here. So just go to help, get support. You can go right here as well. And create a case. And then make sure you direct it to the seller support SPAPI team. That's SPAPI team. And let them know you're not happy about it. If you have questions or concerns regarding the limitations on the seller partner API, that's where you do it. And you can let them know how you feel. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, we appreciate the kind words. We do what we can on our end. Again, as you probably all know, when you're playing in Amazon Sandbox, you're limited on what you can do. We're working behind the scenes with them as best we can. We are one of their partners in their software portal. So we like to think we can get their ear. So far, they're listening and they're trying to work with us to get this stuff fixed. But we will see. Hopefully, it'll work out. So in regards to the MSKU limit, if I'm understanding this, we have 400 to send in. One will go to one batch of warehouse and another shipment will be created to send the other 200. If they're the same MSKU, yes. If you have 400 of a variety of MSKUs in a batch, it could all go in one shipment. But if there's 200 of one particular MSKU, if there's more than 200 of one particular MSKU, those can get split out into more than one shipment. So you could have 1,000 items to send in, but if you have 300 of MSKU B, those 300 will get split out. And it might be in a weird distribution. That's all on Amazon. It won't be 200 in that shipment and then 200 in another shipment. It could be 200 in that shipment, then 50 in another shipment, then 100 in another. But it's only of that particular MSKU. Yeah, you're welcome. For those of us pretty new to InventoryLab, why do these changes seem to adversely affect IL users? It's something that's affecting every third-party provider. So if you haven't heard about it from another provider that does what we do, then maybe they aren't aware. I'm not sure, but at the end of the year, it's going away. So you can't update existing shipments. You won't be able to add to existing shipments, and that 200 MSKU limit, you're not going to be able to update in the back end. So they won't be able to do anything either. We want to make sure that we bring this information to you, as soon as possible. And that's why we're doing these webinars. That's why we're doing these emails. Um, and that's to make sure you have all the information ahead of time. We're not happy either, but yeah, it's kind of the world we live in. And what's so bad about these changes? Well, um, if you're used to sending in shipments and you were at the create, the shipping plan part where you either create or you can add to an existing. Sometimes Amazon will split those up, not all in one shipment. It could have been 48 in a shipment and then 2 in another. So those 2 item shipments aren't cost effective to send into Amazon. But what you could do was leave it working and you'd have 30 days to add to it with other batches. So if other batches had inventory going to the same fulfillment center, you would get that add to existing or working shipment option on the proposed FBA shipments page. So this allowed you to combine items from one batch into that 2 item shipment. And so it made it more cost effective for you. So that, since they're doing away with the update shipment option in the feeds, and this curious why they're doing away with the live workflow. The reason is, Michael, Amazon is taking away the ability to update existing shipments from the feeds in the seller API that they're switching everybody to. Any third-party provider has to be using the seller API by the end of the year. So that's why you can no longer or will no longer be able to use live or add to existing shipments options that we used to have available in InventoryLab. They won't let us update an existing shipment, and they're taking away that capability. And so it will no longer work like it always has. So I'm not sure why Amazon chose to do this. We were wondering as well. We haven't been able to determine why, but that's the route they're going. So we have to, make some changes in our application in order to comply with that. So that's why we're getting this information out to everybody. And that's a good point, Michelle. We'll get them in front of the customers fast, so there's making you send them where they want them. All right. All right. If you have any other questions, feel free to get those in the comments. My best to answer them. Yeah, we had a good turnout. Appreciate everybody joining here today. I don't see any more questions coming through. Okay, well, I'll give you back your evening. I appreciate you guys joining me. I know it's kind of late. It's what is it, 8 p.m. Eastern? But appreciate you joining us and getting this information. Not what anybody wanted to hear, I'm sure. Again, November 7th, that's when this is ending. So make sure you make the switch to private before then. We'll be giving you reminders in our application as well as emails to let you know when that approaches. And so thanks again. And I appreciate the interaction and all the questions. And as we get more information on this, of course, we will get that out to you. So make sure to monitor your emails. And we will see you at the next one. We have Open Lab this week, Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern. You'll see an in-app message as well for that, but it'll be on our Facebook page and YouTube, just like it is now. And We will see you then, I hope. Take care, everybody.